back to my channel. This is the first time that I am filming a video back in Montreal since I've been gone traveling for 6 months. So welcome back to my room. I've only been here for a week and definitely feels kind of strange to be back here. I kind of had this little idea of a video to film. You probably already see it in the title. I've had a lot of questions from people in Q&As and just on Instagram and on social media asking how I go about planning a trip, how I get inspired to go on a trip. So I thought, why not make a video? I feel like there's some things that people just kind of forget about or don't realize before embarking on a new adventure. So I thought I would kind of break it down for you guys in some easy steps. So let me just get started. To choose somewhere to go. So this could be somewhere close by to you, depending on your budget. It could be somewhere on the other side of the world if it's something you've always wanted to do. This is easy. You can go on Pinterest, you can go on Instagram, follow travel bloggers, see where they're going, see what interests you, and just choose a place that you really want to go to. Once I've chosen a place to go, my step number 2 is to check discount airfare. If the place that you're going to involves taking an airplane, there's tons of different websites that filter deals for different airlines. So I don't know, there's like Expedia, Flight Center, Flight Hub, there's a bunch of them, depends where you live, which ones are popular. So once you've chosen the place, of course you have to decide when you want to go, what time of year. I would just go on these websites and put in the dates that interest me, or kind of like give or take some days to really give yourself an idea of how much these flights are going to cost you. Step number 3, I usually don't just book a trip like that spur of the moment. I mean, that's awesome if you guys do that. But yeah, I usually give myself a bit of time, I think about it. What I would do for step number 3 is to just keep checking back on these discount airfare websites and see if the prices fluctuate in your flights. Who knows, some days of the week flights are really expensive, some days of the week they're cheaper, so I would really just keep checking back to give myself even better idea of like the price range of the flights. And step number 4, at this point I usually have a really good idea about like what's a good price for flights. When I find the best deal I can find, I book my flight tickets. So your trip is booked, you have the flights, but of course there's everything in between then that you need to organize. So the next step, step number 5, I would usually research on where I'd like to stay. So are there certain areas that are safer in the city, country that you choose? What do you prioritize? Do you want to be closer to nightlife, restaurants? Is this a shopping trip, or do you want to be close to the beach? Do you want to be right on the beach? So I would really just Google these kinds of things, like where are the best places to stay according to like what I want. So all those things I just said. So now I still wouldn't have booked accommodation yet. So my next step, step number 6, would be to go on accommodation websites. So if you're backpacking, maybe Hostel World, Booking.com, Agoda, Expedia, I know there's a bunch of them. So I would really just go on one of these websites, and if you do have a price range, you can usually filter the price range. Now at this point you kind of have an idea of the area you want to stay in. So you can put that city in, put the area in, filter if you want a pool, if you want whatever. Just take a look at these websites and see what kind of accommodation is available to you within your price range. I would also at this time maybe read some reviews, compare prices, see what that city has to offer accommodation wise. This is really an in-depth booking of a trip. This is like if you really want to have all your stuff organized. The next step I would do is I really like TripAdvisor. I find they're really reliable, and also it's really great. Like, for example, when I went to northern Queensland last month, I wanted to see like top 10 backpackers in Cairns, and I put that in and they literally have lists for you. So you can put like little questions in, really like give you a good idea, like a list of places, and might even place them in order. If you want the nicest hotel in Rome, it will give you the nicest hotel. It will tell you based on people's reviews what the best hotel would be for you. And then finally, I know that's a lot of steps leading up to booking accommodation, but I would at this point kind of have a good idea. Again, this doesn't have to take hours and hours. I could literally do this like within an hour, all of these steps. So once you have a good idea about what kind of accommodation you want to stay in, I would say go ahead, book your accommodation. A little tip also, once you've done a couple of trips, you might realize that there's a certain website that you like booking all your hotels on, or your hostels, whatever. Something I like to do is always book on the same website because sometimes they give you little incentives like points programs or whatever, and they might give you discounts for the next time you book. A little advice when booking accommodation, depending on how long your trip is, I always say to only book 1 or 2 nights in the hotel, depending on how long you want to stay, but I really wouldn't book more than 1 or 2 nights to start with, just because once you get to the hotel, then you actually have a really good idea of where you're staying. You might not like the area you're staying in and want to change after a couple of nights. That's just a little thing that I would suggest you guys, is not to book more than 2 nights to begin, and then after, once you're there, you can extend your stay. And I think I'm up to step number 9. If it is a long trip, I really suggest buying a Lonely Planet book. I don't know if everyone likes having a book on them. If not, you can, these different travel apps, I'm pretty sure Lonely Planet probably has an app as well. From my experience and from other travelers I've met, Lonely Planets are super convenient. Even if you don't even bring it on your trip, just to like read before you leave. And usually buy like a Lonely Planet for a certain country. I bought one for Vietnam, and you can go to every little town, city. It just gives you such a good idea of like neighborhood you're staying in, activities, how to get to and from a certain city. It might give you a little bit of history on the place. If ever you are stuck, it gives you ideas of hotels to stay in, restaurants, and all that stuff. I don't know, I just find it very convenient, very helpful, so that is something I would suggest. But on top of that, to decide like what you want to do once you're there, if you do want to kind of have an idea before you get to the country what there is to see, seriously, I'll Google things, I'll put the name of the place I'm going in Instagram, read people's blog posts, even go into Google Images and write the place I'm going, and often enough, just pictures pop up from like just beautiful things, and I'm like, hey, I really want to see that waterfall. And then I find the waterfall, find the name of the waterfall, and decide, hell yeah, I'm putting that on the list of places to go. So really, step number 9 is just to inform yourself of what there is to see, what there is to do where you're going. It really sucks getting back from a country and seeing maybe like picture or a blog post about that place and you completely missed a bunch of cool stuff to do there. So that's why I do like to do a little bit of research beforehand. And then kind of to finish off, once you've like seen pictures or whatever, just make sure that you find the locations of these places and you actually know that they're accessible from where you're going, that they're not on the opposite end of the country from where you are. And then the next step I would say is to make a logical itinerary. So now that you've done a bit of research on the place, made your like things that you definitely want to check out once you're there, you can kind of map it out and see, okay, this is here, this is there, this is there. A logical way to do it would be to go to this place first, then there, and then come back, or whatever. So I would say for step number 10 is to make a logical itinerary. And again, this would be very much to kind of give yourself an overview. I'm not saying that make yourself an itinerary and follow it every day on your travels. I'm just saying that it is a good idea to kind of know the geography of the place and have an idea going into your trip what you want to do, what you want to see, and where you want to go. And then the last step, I guess this makes 11 steps. Before heading out, I would kind of decide on a mode of transport. So are you going with a friend, a boyfriend? Do you want to be renting a car? Are you guys going to be backpacking? Do you guys want to be renting a motorbike? Do you want to be taking buses, trains? Maybe you'll even be taking little plane rides here and there. So just decide what kind of transportation you think you'll be taking and look into a bit ahead of time to see if those things are available. And finally, I'll just finish up one more time saying that this is probably a lot of planning for maybe a shorter trip when you don't want to just be wasting your time once you're there figuring everything out. I mean, if you're traveling for 6 months non-stop, you can probably give yourself the leeway once you're there to figure it all out. But this is really if you want to like plan ahead of time, have a kind of good idea before getting to your destination what you want to do. So I hope this was helpful for you guys. I'm happy that I got to film this for you. I hope this helps you guys for the next time you book a trip. If you have any other questions or if I may have forgotten any steps, I totally could have. That would not be surprising to me. Yeah, just comment below, let me know, and I will just like add in a little extra step somewhere. I hope you guys are all having a great weekend. I'll be seeing you next week with a new video. I'm thinking of filming some like spring and summer essentials, my like, favorites right now. So let me know if you guys would be interested in that. I'll get on that very shortly. And yeah, see you next time.